Hey folks, this is Waylon Lewis, and I have yet another amazing guest. This is a longtime friend of mine, Sue Van Raes, Boulder People.
Boulder People.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And you've written, is this your first book? I should have asked.
It's my second book.
Yeah,
it's
I felt
my
like you
first
had another.
traditionally published book. Yeah.
Nice. So it says, Food and Freedom, discover your personal recipe to eat, think, and live well. And you're the founder of Boulder Nutrition. I love looking at this. Makes me so happy. Sue is so wonderful. So what are you going to teach us about, or teach me about? And hopefully people will learn through how stupid and silly I am today. What are we going to learn?
Well, I mean, I would love to have a conversation with you about just some of the nuances in the book, and also, you know, things that you and I both share a passion around. I think mindfulness and some of the yogic aspects that we can really take off the mat and bring to the table is one of my favorite things to do. I love talking about
so yoga principles and how they can inform how we eat and our health and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So can I just jump in?
You can jump in.
I love this, and I hope it's okay. We're playing Kneesy.
I know,
it's like
we are
footsie,
playing
but it's
Kneesies,
Kneesy.
but we need to be both on camera, so
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's tight. So, and we have a view of playing puppies in the backyard.
Yes, and the flat irons.
It's adorable. So, I feel I grew up Buddhist. I practice meditation. I bike around. I eat organic food, local. I'm vegan. All this great stuff. And at the same time, in a kind of good way, accessible way for all of us, I feel like I've had such a confused and discursive relationship with food. I love good food. I love ethical food. I love eating lots of food. I love not paying attention to what I'm eating at all and forgetting I'm even present. So, if you were talking to the masses of humanity, what is one or two or three simple mindfulness lessons that all of us can do?
I love that question.
In terms of eating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things to talk about, and something that I wrote recently for Elephant, actually, really just bringing the five senses to the table is one really great place to start. And, I've learned this from my own practice, and I've learned this through watching other people, but I love how just experiencing the senses is in the present moment.
Yeah.
And that could just be taking in the scent of something delicious, or looking out the window like we're doing now, staring at the most beautiful Boulder flat irons, or enjoying, the sound of conversation, the sound of food cooking, the sound of silence sometimes.
But for a lot of people in the US, we're ordering off of whatever food app is delivered in a plastic bag in a plastic container. We're eating it while working or while enjoying a video game or a movie or friends. So let's say the most discursive, speedy atmosphere, we're half destroying the planet while doing it. How can we bring mindfulness to that?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think the simplest thing to do is what I like to call the sacred pause. It's just a pause. It's just a pause and a check-in, really. So
before eating, or
maybe
in the middle?
Really any time that we can pause, I think we're offering ourselves an opportunity to look at the impulse and then the next action we take. And there's that space in between, that pause, where choice happens, and where we can discern what action feels best to us. So, yeah, I mean, of course, there's lots of different ways. Of course, you can pause at the beginning and, just take a moment to feel gratitude for your food, or take a moment to take in the senses and to be with the food, or to have pleasure with, eating. But also, I don't think it has to look a certain way. I think...
Right. It doesn't have to be this solemn, sacred moment. In Buddhism, they say, meditation isn't a sacred spiritual thing. It's similar to brushing your teeth. It's something you do that's practical, that makes sense. You would never skip brushing your teeth, hopefully. Just out of a selfish desire to not have my mouth taste like gunk when I wake up. I want to brush my teeth. Right, same way with my mind, I meditate.
Right.
So it's a pause. I mean, sacred is a word that we also like, but
yes. Yeah, we can even just ordinary. We can just have an ordinary pause too.
Right.
I mean, honestly, they're kind of a similar thing.
And that could be sacred, right?
Because the ordinary, as you and I both know, these acts of ordinary behavior that we all experience as humans can either become very automatic and mundane, or they can have a layer of awareness within them, or an opportunity for presence within them. And it can make brushing your teeth feel different, or it can make sitting down and watching a show and eating a meal, feel more potent than just going through it automatically without taking stock or checking in or pausing or being with the moment.
So why is it good? I mean, maybe this is a stupid question, but why is it such a good thing to like check in with your senses or pause?
I think it gives us the opportunity to get out of automatic for a second.
Out of our blah, blah, blah,
out of whatever's going on in our mind, whatever our automatic behaviors are, and give ourselves an opportunity to actually see if like this next action is actually aligned with what we're wanting.
Yeah, for me, selfishly, and I'm 49 now, like I told you before we sat down just now, like I'm one of the most discursive, like confused eaters on the planet, despite all the tools I've been giving and all my ethics about like eating real food and, not plastic and all that. But it's just almost like a selfish in a good way thing to pause and be present, because I found in my old age, like I actually don't enjoy my food if I'm caught up in the speed of my life.
Totally.
Like, and if I check in with my food, suddenly it's delicious. Suddenly I'm enjoying it. And if I don't, I just actually can eat the best meal ever. I wrote about this in my second book. You can eat the best thing ever, and if you're not present, you miss the whole thing.
Completely. And I think that really brings, like when you said that the pleasure comes back, it's like, what is the vehicle to pleasure? It's your senses.
Right.
And so being including more pleasure is giving ourselves that actual space to feel what's possible when we slow down enough, to get out of the mind, back into the body, to, give ourselves some space to assess. And it doesn't have to, it's not about like perfectionism. It's not about doing things so meticulously that everything is like a Japanese tea ceremony. I mean, it's nice if we have moments like that, but that's not realistic for most of us when we're going through the day. But I know for me, when I notice myself eating fast, driving fast, working fast, talking fast, or doing any of those things that we can so get caught up in, I notice, there's a whole different experience going on the inside when I'm in that really fast moving pace versus slowing down, breathing, presencing. And it doesn't have to look any like really fancy. It's just like it starts to become the practice off the mat, really.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say. It can be ordinary, not sacred. Like sacred is great, but I think growing up in like Naropa and Boulder and Buddhism and stuff, people can make a big deal out of stuff, and that's not actually necessary. In fact, that can be its own obstacle. The whole point is just to be simple and direct.
The whole point is just to be simple and direct.
Yeah.
And also to bring in, where we can, those places where we can practice awareness.
So I've written about, I visited Kripalu years ago, and they had mindful eating guidelines on their tables. And that really kind of changed my life, because they were on the table so I could read it every single time. And I put the acronym in my head, and I like try to go through it when I eat. And I wonder, could I run you through it?
Yeah,
and
I love it.
You could add to it or subtract to it or advise things you like about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's helpful to other people. So Rajasic is the acronym.
Okay.
So the first one is relax. So before you eat, you take 3 full breaths. And again, they don't have to be spiritual, whatever. They're just good full breaths in and out. And you try to be present with that. Do you like that?
Love it.
Okay.
100%.
Number 2 is a G, not a J. Rajasic. It's gratitude. So you think about thank you to the waitress or the waiter, thank you to the cook, thank you to the, even if you want to get crazy, like the landlord, the owners of the restaurant, if you're in a restaurant. Thank you to the, process in the kitchen or whatever. Thank you to the grocery. Thank you to the farmers, the market, wherever you got it. Thank you to myself for like getting it, whatever, just gratitude. Thank you to the food. Thank you to nature, the rain. Nature is a big part of that. So, and then appreciate. Appreciate is, we're having a puppy pickup. Appreciate is the A is simply look at the food. Really powerful for me. So many times I'm like, blah, blah, and I really don't, like a kid looks at the details of the taco or whatever. Are you liking this order?
I'm loving it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think S is savor or something. It's like really feel the texture of chewing and the tastes and really get into the mouth and all that. And then Jurassic. Oh no, that's chew is that one. So what? Oh, smell. It's actually you smell it, which I never do. But when you smell a familiar tea or food, it brings up so much, right? That's
Absolutely.
a powerful one. It's funny I forgot that. And then pause at the very end. That's a silent P after Rajasic. So pause is like before rushing off to the next thing. You have to be like, that was good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when we look at all of those different elements, you have, thank you.
Yeah, little commercials for your book.
When we start with, what was the first one again? Relax.
Relax.
So relax. So obviously breathing is helpful.
Yeah.
Obviously when we get into the parasympathetic nervous system and we relax, we can actually digest our food better.
Is parasympathetic good?
Parasympathetic is the calming side of the
Okay.
nervous system.
I find the relax is almost the most powerful because when I sit down, I have as I've said, like almost an unhealthy relationship to food in some ways. It's speedy. I get excited. And I'm like really adrenalized. And when I relax, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, it's really hard for our bodies to digest well when we're having an adrenaline response.
Yeah.
Because,
I get adrenalized around food.
Yeah, that's so funny. Well, maybe you're excited.
I am. I'm really excited.
But like, I think it's still okay to be excited and then take a couple deep breaths and
Yeah.
like bring yourself into a little bit more of a calm excitement that can help with digestion.
Well, because my excitement actually isn't, it's almost blind excitement. Like I get caught up in the feeling and I scarf it down and then I'm like, oh, I didn't taste
Totally.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to actually talk about gratitude when I was writing my book and when I came across this awesome study that was about young women with disordered eating habits. And they studied two groups. One practiced gratitude before eating and the other did not. And they wrote, little letters to about their experience. And basically what they found was that including gratitude at mealtime was incredibly healing for these young girls.
Wow.
And that their rate of healing, escalated with just
Because
something that simple.
Because if you have disordered eating, you get caught up in almost like trauma. Like you're
Yeah.
like, food is almost the enemy, or I have a difficult relationship with it, but I love it, but I fear it.
There's so many emotions that can come up for us when we're eating, especially if we have trauma around eating or a history that's really challenging around eating. But I think that it's so powerful. You and I both know how strong and powerful gratitude is. It can like shift our mindset in just moments, or our physiology in just moments. And so when we practice that around our eating, it can be a really big game changer. And it doesn't have to be complicated either, right? It doesn't have to be like this. We don't have to be oming. We don't have to be doing all the things that, we kind of associate sometimes with like the spiritual side of gratitude. It can just be a simple like, wow, this is a beautiful plate of food. And I'm so grateful I have an opportunity to nourish my body in this moment. It doesn't have to be complicated. I think the next one you said was appreciate. And I really love that because it kind of comes back to the five senses when you were saying, look at your food.
Yeah.
You're just
like
taking it in. You're just looking at it and you're pausing. All of this is pausing.
Exactly.
And
it's checking in with the senses in a way, right?
Yeah, it's checking in with the senses. So that's appreciating. So you're checking in with your sense of sight. Chewing, you're checking in with like texture and that sense that is going to bring both, I'm sure, flavor, taste.
Chewing's radical for me.
Chewing is incredibly radical.
I obviously chew, but actually appreciating the texture and the taste. And smelling's radical too.
Absolutely. Well, it's crazy. You may have heard this before, but Chinese medicine suggests we chew 40 times per bite. And that's
the stuff that drives me insane.
Incredible, right? I have never been able to achieve that.
Okay, good.
But I tend to eat fast if I'm not paying attention as well. And especially lunch, when I'm in like my busyness of my day, I'm kind of like, so I'll notice myself eating really fast. And I have like caught myself chewing like 3 times or something crazy like that. Oh, I'm
totally like that.
And so just chewing is such a powerful way to slow down, but also to improve, the digestive function. But it once again, it's all of this is taking our very bustling culture and just like turning it down a few notches wherever we can. And mealtime is such a great place to practice that. But there's so many other places too, right? Like we can slow down in various ways throughout our days.
Yeah, Buddhism says like just anytime you have the opportunity during the day, just shut up. And you just like look at the leaves outside. And that's it. Just look at them for like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, you're like, oh, there's a little wind. Reality is happening. It's not all about me. You often will. You just take a natural like breath.
Yeah, you reconnect.
It just changes your day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not even a meditation. You're just looking at something.
Yeah, and the minute we call it a meditation,
right,
it can change what people imagine themselves doing, and it can be intimidating for people if they don't have a long-term meditation practice.
Right.
And really, I think that just bringing the simplicity back in all these layers, it's like the chop wood, carry water kind of scenario.
Right.
Right.
And that's a Zen saying about like enlightenment is chopping wood, carrying water, is being present with the ordinary details of your life.
Well, yeah, and what I found, and I know this is kind of the cliche saying, but what I found is when we do that, the ordinary things actually do become much more extraordinary.
Thanks for listening. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. The full conversation is on our indie platform that supports and continues our work, elephantjournal.com/videos. You can subscribe, listen, watch, and participate there. And when you do so, you'll keep these mindful videos and podcasts going. elephantjournal.com/videos. May it be of benefit.